So, Rox, who have we got on this week's podcast?
We have got the wonderful Laura Norton.
And Mark Jordon, who you will recognise both of them, obviously, from Emmerdale, but also Mark from one of my favourite ever shows growing up, Heartbeat. So this is going to be a slightly different one today. The main reason is that Laura and Mark's side hustle is the charity Cure Usher,
because both of their kids were diagnosed with Usher Syndrome, and the work that they've done since that diagnosis has been incredible. So we want to talk to them about them and their career, but also
the
about
children
the charity
and the charity. So let's speak to Laura Norton and Mark Jordon.
We'll just be a series of floating heads, though.
It is full-bodied, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, he stopped.
We always start the show with asking our celebs how they got into what they're doing. So how you got into Emmerdale, how you got into acting. Did you go to a drama school? Is that how you got into it?
No drama school. Youth theatre at the local theatre, Live Theatre. Got a play when I was 14, and the guy who cast the play got in touch with the casting director of a show on ITV called Badger, with Jerome Flynn, no less.
I recognise the name Badger.
It was what was the Rebecca Moore? What was she called? Rebecca Moore.
Who's that? Another lady who was in it?
Yeah, they were the leads.
Right. I can't remember her.
It was quite a cute show. So
what was Badger about?
He was like a vet.
He was a vet detective.
And was he called Badger? I
wish he was.
Mr. Badger? No. Mr. Badger, the vet detective.
Now that we're highlighting the word Badger, I'm starting to realise how weird that is, that the show was called Badger.
I always thought he was Badger. Was he not Badger? I think he was Badger.
Listen, I was 14. All I was bothered about was that I had a few lines in an episode.
Badger.
I found a kestrel with a broken wing.
Oh.
And I took it to him, and they fixed it.
And it was Jerome, did you say it was Jerome Flynn?
Jerome Flynn, yeah, played the lead. I can't remember. It only went for a couple of seasons, but I got a part in that, and then I carried on at the youth theatre. My agent, who is still my agent now, who was my agent when I was 18.
Wow.
She came to see me in The Good Person of Szechuan.
You did that as well? Mm-hmm. I did that in the youth theatre.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
She came to see me in that, but she walked in, right, and sat down, and I remember, because there's a lot of direct address to the audience, and I clocked on, I was like, oh my God, she came, and I mean, half a sentence, 2 sentences, and she left.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, oh, well, that one didn't work out. And then she rang me that day.
Why did she leave?
She just said I just didn't need to say anymore.
Amazing.
It was that bad.
You were that good.
Oh, yeah.
You were that good. She was like, seen it.
Because it was a college performance, I think she said I just didn't have the time to sort of sit through another 2 hours of... But yeah, and then 1 week later, she got me an audition for my first professional play, which was called Smack Family Robinson.
These are some cracking titles.
It was an amazing play by Richard Bean, who's like a huge writer now, directed by Jeremy Herron, who's now directing like Sally Field in New York and stuff. He's just gone off to do massive things.
Sally Field in Smack Family Robinson.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was like the Michael Corleone character, but it was all set in Newcastle. So she starts off as the daughter of a family who are dealing drugs, and by the end of the play, she's the one sitting in the armchair that's...
And you were her?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I was 18.
Great.
Yeah. And then just a lot of theatre, a few bits and bobs of telly, like the Geordie Law, Biker Grove.
You've got to be in Biker Grove.
If you're
from that area,
it's just not right.
Yeah.
If you're a Geordie and you say you haven't been in it, nobody will take you seriously, I don't think. And Vera, obviously, those kind of things.
Why is Biker Grove not a thing anymore? It was so good.
And Dec are trying to bring it back.
Are they?
Yeah.
They want to produce it themselves,
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah.
I've read about this.
They want to try and bring it like the modern day Biker Grove back. Yeah.
There's space for it.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Good, Biker Grove. Yeah, remember it?
Yeah, vaguely.
How old were you when you did Biker Grove?
22.
So were you one of the? You were obviously not.
I
one
was
of the
a
kids
social
in it.
worker.
I was
yeah,
going to say you're one of the older ones.
Yeah, I was a
Not
social
old,
worker
but-
that made a pass at one of the kids.
What?
Yeah, should we not get into that?
It was edgy. It was edgy.
Yeah,
in its time,
it was a
wasn't
job.
it?
Yeah, I was
How old were you when you started Emmerdale?
27.
Oh, right.
28.
Oh,
28. Yeah.
And how did that audition come about?
Because Chelsea Halfpenny was already in the show playing Amy, and they wanted to bring her mum in. And I was working in my agent's office at the time, and she was like, "Who do you think I could put up for this?" And I was like, "Hello." And she went, "Oh, I never thought about you." And I was too young, technically, at the time. And we ended up telling Faye, the casting director, how old I was, and she was like, "I'm not going to say anything to anyone, just to let her go through it." And then 5 auditions later, 40 people, I was the first person that they saw.
And 40 people later, you were the one.
Yeah, and I was down to the last 5 with Michelle Hardwick. Yeah,
funny.
and then the day after I found out I got it, she got called in to say, "We're going to write you a part."
That story.
And
I
that's how she became the vet, Vanessa.
Well, you know that's how I got David originally, because I auditioned for Eli Dingle, which
Oh, really?
Joe Gilgan
Yeah.
ended up getting. And I remember being in the auditions, and it was getting less and less people. And I was looking at Joe, I was like, he's perfect for the part. But they kept asking me back. And it eventually was between me and Joe. And they did the same thing. They gave Joe Eli and then
And
rang
you
me
got
back and said,
David.
"We're going to write a part for you."
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I think
It's always
sometimes-
worth it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you think you just never know
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it's going to go or how.
exactly, yeah.
Because a year before that, I auditioned for what were they called? Ali and Ruby. Do you remember?
Yes.
They were a lesbian couple.
Oh, yeah.
They played
I do remember
Dan
them.
Spencer's.
Oh, God.
I auditioned,
Yeah.
and when I got in the room, she was like, "Oh, not that one. Read for the other one." She went, "No." She just told us there, and then she
Who
was
was
like,
in the room?
Faye.
Faye,
Yeah,
Tyrant.
she went, "It's not either of these, but I will get you back. I will." And exactly 1 year later, she got me.
Amazing.
Wow.
I love
And
that.
that's how long ago now, Laura, that you've been in Emmerdale?
13 years.
13 years.
And throughout the course of your 13 years, when did you make this heartthrob? Or should we wait? Let's do your origin story. Tell us, Mark.
Origin story.
How did
The origin
you
story, I
get
love
into
that.
showbiz?
I used to watch.
It's going to be a long story, isn't it?
I used to watch a lot of films, and basically, I thought I could be Steve McQueen. That's basically the long and short. I loved what he did. Loved everything
Steve
about
McQueen?
films.
Who's Steve McQueen?
Who's Steve McQueen?
Yeah,
well,
we'll
he's my idol.
We'll Google it.
Thank you.
But he did a lot of films, and I always somehow ended up being stuck on his acting style in him, and I wanted to explore that. And at school, the schools that I went to, the high school that I went to, didn't have any acting classes or acting lessons. But 1 week, an English teacher from another school came in and presented this acting week, and I remember being. So everybody went off in groups. It is going to be a long story.
Yeah, I like it. I'm intrigued.
Sorry. She split everybody into groups, and all I remember at the time was going, I must be all right at this, because I ended up being picked by every group to be in. So I was the only person in all the groups that had a part. Do you know what I mean? Everybody wanted me to be in their group.
Must have been really bad.
There was only 4 of us. Who will play a girl or get Mark?
That's brilliant.
So at the time, I remember thinking that. Anyway, long and short, there was an advertisement. I lived in Oldham. There was an advertisement in the Oldham Chronicle, and somebody highlighted it to me and saying, "Look, they're auditioning at the Civic Centre for a film. They want some school children." And so I went along to
How
the
old were you
audition.
at this point?
I was still at high school, so between 13 and
16.
15. You know, I can't remember. Oh well, I've been nearer 15, I suppose. The long and short is, there was a local theatre group who were helping run the auditions called Oldham Theatre Workshop, which a lot of the cast
Classic,
members
yeah.
have been to.
Yeah.
And I got down to the last couple of parts. We got told that me and this other kid had got the parts. That was great. And then a week later, we were invited back to be told that they weren't going to do the film. Oh. And so all the mums and dads were sat there, and there was everybody basically had a part, because they were going to be the school. But there were speaking parts, and we got there anyway. So the bad news was given. It was going to be knocked on, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know if it got made eventually. And the people who were running from the youth theatre approached me and the other guy and said, "Do you want to come to our youth theatre?" And told us all about it. I went, enjoyed it, but I was like 9'8" compared to everybody else. So I felt like after a few years I need to get out and do something. But they did have an agent that went with it, and that agent got me my first ever telly, which is a thing called Seaview, way back when, with Yvette Fielding, who now searches for ghosts.
Yes. Yeah.
Ghost hunter. What was it called?
So I had an absolute rocking time in Blackpool for 6 months. And then from there, just bam, 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 ended up playing troublesome youths at the age of 20, still playing 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then just rolled on. Did loads of stuff over at Yorkshire Telly and enjoyed myself.
How old were you when you got Heartbeat?
Oh, God, I don't know, 20-something.
And you were there for...
17 years.
Yeah. Wow.
17 years.
were you there till it finished?
No, I got a bit fed up. I had kids at home, got a bit fed up of it all, tried to work out how I could keep it interesting, asked them if they wouldn't mind if I directed a couple of episodes. They said, thumbs up, sign here. So I signed here for another year, and they went, oh, now you've signed, we can't really have the time to sort of like plan directing and be in it, and we've got a big wedding for you and all that lot. So they very kindly, which has been really useful, they said, well, you can follow a director for 6 months and learn about all the departments. So I said, thank you, Judith Dine.
Oh, was it Jude?
So me and Jude used to block all the episodes in her house with Billy and the cats.
So for people that don't know, so Judith Dine is a director at Emmerdale, but her husband, Billy Hartman, was also in Emmerdale for years and years. You know, what character did he play?
Terry.
He played Terry for a long, long time. So
Yeah.
that's where that link is.
That's where, and also she obviously was, somebody who'd been doing Heartbeat for quite some time as well. So I really took to her character.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Ooh.
Eccentric.
How many years was that? So at what point did you ask to direct?
So my latter year, so in the 15th, 16th year, I asked to direct, and I saw out that year, and then I said, right, I'm ready now for next year, and they said, no, we've got even bigger plans for you as an actor, and it'd be we can't let you go. So I said, I'm quitting. So they said, well, we've got a character who's coming in specially to be killed. I think they did it as a threat because I think they thought I was touting for more funds, a higher fee. And so they said, we'll just put you in there then. And I went, that's absolutely great. I want to go home and see my kids.
Oh,
and
really? So you essentially asked for your character to be killed off.
And
I'd forgotten that you'd got killed off in it.
Yeah, so did I.
Because we wanted to do a remake of it. We
Well,
wanted to write the remake with you as the lead, but obviously but we thought twin brother maybe comes back
From Spain.
the long lost son.
And
It'd be great.
as soon as you'd gone, did it go?
The year later, they pulled the plug on
Well,
it.
how funny.
I know.
Without you.
Very
ship just
very
sank, didn't it?
confidently at home, I was like,
Oh, wow. That's what happens when you lose the magic, baby. So did you ever go on and direct? Did you take that time with
well,
Judith
what happened with all of the knowledge that they gave me, and I went off and directed a short film with the plan of doing more and more. But we were discussing this before we all walked into the room here. I lost a lot of funding directing your own film, and so I kind of was very hesitant about the next one, and we're here now and still haven't. It just rolled on. Do you know?
You'd be a brilliant director.
But I really enjoyed the first film that I did. It was about basically my uncle and me. We lost my nan and his mum, and we tried to work out how to mourn that in some ways. And he wrote this brilliant monologue about her, and I said, that's how we do it. I'll direct that. Can we expand on that? And we sat together. He wrote it. I directed it.
Amy Walsh's sister is in it.
Yeah, Sally.
Which one? Oh, Sally.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Amy Walsh plays... Who does Amy play?
Tracy.
You've only been left a few weeks. Have you forgotten everybody?
That's showbiz.
Literally left
So do
on Friday.
your uncle who wrote this, is he in the industry? Is he a
No,
writer?
he does poetry.
Poetry.
And so he'd written this piece to his mum. And it was elements of that sort of sparked the idea of basically, because so my nan was in hospital for a while. God, sorry, we really have gone on a tangent. But my nan was in hospital for a while, and when she passed, we kept saying, "Oh, bugger, we should have really."
Sorry, I just laughed at Bugger. When she passed, we said, oh, Bugger.
We're such a really polite family. Yeah. Oh, Dash. Oh,
Go on.
no, we said we should have nicked her. We should have nicked her. We should have took her out and got her to the seaside because that's what she wanted to do. And a friend owns a winery, and we said we could have took Phil's wine van and we could have just driven her out for the day. And then so that was the idea. I said, well, let's do this with somebody else.
Beautiful little film.
So I asked Jean Alexander Hilda Ogden to be my nan. And she said, yeah.
Oh,
so,
wow. So what's the film
lush.
called? Where can we find it?
It's called To the Sea Again.
You went to America with it, didn't you?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be invited to go, and I entered it into loads of festivals like you do. One of them came back and it went, would you like to come to Hollywood? We're doing this year's film festival is going to be on Culver City Walk, which is just on the outskirts of Hollywood. Would you be interested? I said, yes. I'll never get there again. Do you know what I mean? And so I'll go under that. And they said, do a little talk as well about your piece. So. Little did they know. I mean,
3 hours later,
I'm still there, so, as you've seen.
So where can you find it? Where can
I don't release it anywhere. I mean, I've got piles and piles of DVDs at home, but I know.
That's such. Do you know what? I love stories like that because it just, if you really connect with something and you're passionate about something and you make it, somehow someone somewhere will connect with it. It will lead to something else. And I think sometimes we've got those critical voices, we've got mundane day-to-day stuff that we've got to do. And I think it's so easy to block your own creativity, whether that's because, but when you do actually, those magical times when you do find space to just be creative and do something you're passionate about, like magic happens.
Look where it took you.
Look where it took you.
Yeah, totally.
I love that.
I had just the most exciting time, and was very proud of it, and got some of my best tattoos over in Hollywood while I was there.
We'll talk about tattoos later, actually. So in between you finishing Heartbeat, doing your short film, how long was it then before Emmerdale came?
Oh God, it was a good few years. I'd bounced around doing different things, and it did seem, if I'm honest, that like I was being hit with, we've seen Matt, we know what he's about, we see him on the repeats of Heartbeat, and it was a frustration because you kind of go,
because it never stopped.
I'm not Bellamy, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you come and see me for somebody else, a different type of character? Anyway, that all went on, and then eventually little bits here and there, but when I went for the audition for Daz in Emmerdale, it was really that was the place that I did all the first season of Heartbeat, was actually in the studios. And to be in the building and to be in the rooms again auditioning, it felt like it's scary as anything. I can't tell you how scared I was, because I was just like, God, this is the history. I really want this job because I want to be reconnected with the building, but I'm also really scared that it won't match my hopes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The good times I had, and is the building different? Does things work differently? Got the job, and just I mean, it was exactly the same. It was the most happiest building, and way back then.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like now, because
I remember. So I might be wrong here. I might be remembering this wrong, but you came into the show for a short amount of time, then left, didn't you? Then they liked you so much they asked you back. Full time.
Yeah. That was so Kate Oates was
so
the
funny.
story.
I'm sorry, everyone mentions Kate. We always talk about Kate.
She's been on every podcast.
Because there's always a moment where someone goes, I mean, it's really down to Kate. She's changed everyone's life.
She has.
She really has. And in other ways as well, because she's been a great support for so many different things. But yes, so she was the block, and I got to work with Laura and Liam and Luke. Daisy, and my first day was in the bar in the Woolpack. I had a full Woolpack day. You were there.
Was that? Sorry, I don't remember.
And there was Natalie Ann.
Natalie Anderson.
No, that's your Natalie
Anderson.
Natalie Anderson. And you were the first two ladies who came up, and there was a curiosity about Daz. So there was this sort of daft thing where your characters were like doing flirty, and I had to do a bounce between whilst being, bigger than normal for brother. It was almost like encouraging to see how good your big brother is to Liam's character. So it was a great opening day. I remember it very well being just like the best fun.
Laura, what did you think of him when you first met him on day one?
Great.
Did you think he was great straight away?
I went straight up to him and went, you were in Heartbeat, because I didn't know who had got the part. Liam, I remember Liam going, oh my God, they've cast Mark Jordon. They've cast Mark Jordon.
I remember being dead starstruck. When we did the stuff where you came in and fitted some dodgy cameras in the show.
That was so
and that was the first time we properly worked together.
Totally.
And because I grew up watching Heartbeat with my mum and dad, sitting having
Sunday night,
having Sunday dinner and sitting and watching it, and so I was proper starstruck as well.
But he'd been going, Mark Jordan, I can't believe it. I cannot believe you've got me to play my brother. And I was like, it was Mark Jordan. And then he walked in and I was, oh my God, it's you, Phil Bellamy, which you still get all the time now, yeah. And we just, I mean, that, it was, to say it was one block, was it 1 or 2 blocks that you had?
I think it was
like
2 blocks.
3 weeks he was there.
Yeah,
But
it was just a very short period of time.
Started, the family just seemed to gel and they got their chance to shine. And those two, it was like the Shameless of Emmerdale. I felt like when we were all together and we started improvising and having too much fun. I remember I had a block with Alan Waring and we just loved it, didn't we? And Luke patting his belly, do you remember? He came, I think we'd all been out the night before and he came over to give her a note about the scene and his belly was just there and Luke just patted it. It was so funny, but yeah. And then you were gone and it was such a shame. And you came at the same time that Amy Walsh came for a stint.
Yes.
And they both left at the same time and everyone in the building was going, they've got to get those two back.
Yeah.
It would be
because I knew Amy. Also, Amy, I have a flat here in Leeds and I had rehearsals with Sally, Amy's sister.
For the
film, and she brought this little sister of hers, Amy, to come and be chaperone, if you like, for the day. Like, she knew me, but she didn't know the leading guy, who she had to have a relationship with. So she brought a chaperone, which was Amy.
Isn't that brilliant?
What
so, like, I knew Amy on her first day of Emmerdale as well. So I ended up buying her.
Didn't you buy her lunch? Yeah,
and sat with her so that she wouldn't feel like nervous, as if.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is Amy Walsh we're talking about,
Yeah.
But at the time, I thought that was a thing to do.
And so once you'd gone, how long was it until you came back? About 6 months, was it?
No, it was about 2 years.
2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Yeah, it was just
2 years.
Amy was 6 months.
Yeah.
And so
Amy
it was 2
came
years
back,
for you. And then when you came back, how did you come back in? And did you know that you were then going to be a regular character, or were you still coming back into it thinking, how long's this going to last?
And had you two kept in touch as well?
Oh, well,
after that first.
We didn't see each other
two.
for a year,
Yeah.
and then a year after he left, we started a relationship.
What?
And then a year after our relationship,
How did you start your relationship?
Well, we did see each other as so Luke, who played your sort of stepson, and Liam and you. We would go out for a bit of food
we went out on a couple of nights out. We went to the theatre, didn't we?
Yeah, because Luke's less like hysterical, and so we did a family thing outside of work.
Yeah.
And we went into Manchester a lot, and then that's weird thing where
Kind of
was
from
going
that,
like, this is
wasn't it?
bizarre. This very attractive lady there is glowing a bit. What's that about? So that kind of happened, and then nothing happened. But like when
It wasn't long after that.
when we started to
Who made the first
examine
move?
It was, I mean, you had stuff going on in your life, didn't we? So we became friends, and it literally, like, we ended up like falling for each other over the phone. We were on the phone to each other nearly every day, weren't we? And then we met up. I think you came over to Leeds to get your hair cut because you wouldn't go anywhere else. I was like,
That's me.
do you want a cup of coffee?
I love that he came for his hair and not for you. I am here. I'm here anyway. So if you want to come and see this new dude.
Hey, listen, I'd come for her, but I've made sure I look right.
Yeah,
that's what
So
I've
by
done.
the time you started again after the 2-year little hiatus,
We were like a year in.
A year in.
Just about, I think, yeah, because we're in May, we'll have been together for 10 years.
No
10
way.
years. So 10 years and 2 children later.
Yeah.
How insane is that, 10 years?
10 years.
I said
Well,
it
I
to him the
remember
other day,
being
and
in
he was
the
like,
dressing
eh?
room and you telling me, confiding in me that something was going on. And I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember him. And it wasn't, because you hadn't really landed in my life at that point. Do you
Listen,
know what
you've
I mean?
already forgotten Amy Walsh's. so I think the audience are aware
We're
that
expecting it, yeah.
you're in one ear and out the other.
Clear it was, basically. She seemed really happy and seemed to like him. And 10 years later...
So then children came along.
Unexpectedly so.
Both unexpectedly.
Yeah, we got to COVID. You'd been off doing a tour, hadn't you, the Cat and the Canary, and then COVID hit, and it just seemed like the perfect time because I think me and my stepdaughter had been like trying to force him into getting a dog, and you mention it and it's like maybe one day, and then we were in COVID and I was like, it's now, isn't it? And he was like, oh, go on then. So we got Juno. We called her Juno. We went through all the rigmarole of the naming, called her Juno, and then after we'd named her, we were like, let's look it up and see what it means. And it's what is it? Goddess of marriage and birth. Oh. Right? Of women. What was it?
It's goddess of women.
Women and birth.
And birth.
And 2 weeks later, I got pregnant with Jessie.
That's getting goosebumps because I love things like that.
I do.
So weird. And then it was COVID, it was boiling. We were going on these daily walks. We didn't have the dog at this point. We'd got our and bought her. And we went for a walk and I was like, I think I need to do a pregnancy test. And I was like, okay. And I don't know, do you know, in your life, sometimes when you foresee a moment like that, you just imagine what you think it would be like if you found out you were
And it's
pregnant.
not like that.
It's just not like that. I went and did the test and came down and he was in this chair looking at me and I knew you knew that I was pregnant. And I just showed it to him and we just went, and I think you went, well, that's that then. And I went, that's that. And that was it. And we had a cut. It was such a, you know, when you expect these moments to just be huge, it was like...
It's a lot to kind of process, isn't it?
I found
in
it
that
utterly
moment.
terrifying.
Did you?
Utterly
as soon as you found
terrifying.
out?
Yeah, as soon as I found out I had a breakdown, because you're suddenly aware of how flawed you are as a human being, that you not only have to get your own stuff together, but you've got to get it...
You're now responsible
for an entire human life. It's the biggest job you're ever going to take on. It's the most important thing. And any issues they have when they grow up, it's your fault. So you're probably going to have to pay the counselling bills. All this is going through my head while I was in the toilet at a Starbucks, just like crying, holding the stick. I rang Usher, I couldn't speak, and he went... Oh, you're pregnant. Yeah. But, you know, and people kept, I remember, sorry, it was a complete segue and I love talking about myself. But, I remember being pregnant and everyone kept saying to me, are you excited? Are you excited? And I felt like saying, no, I'm terrified. This is a huge responsibility. I don't know whether I'm going to be any good at it, you know, but... and this is the cliche thing, you know, having Lyra, having a child has been not only the biggest honour, but my greatest teacher. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, you grow a lot as a human being, don't you?
You have to, don't you?
My section over. Back to you guys.
I enjoyed that.
And then second, so you had a boy?
Yes, I had a little boy, Jesse, and he was 1 and a bit.
Just shy of 1.5.
Yeah, I think so. And my mum and dad were at our house and Mark had made all breakfast and I just pushed all the bacon to one side of the plate and my dad went, what's the matter with you? Is that the second time you've not said I can't eat bacon, it's making us feel sick? And I went, I don't know, I've just gone off it. And then we went to go and look at a carpet and I said, on the way back, can we just go to the chemist? I might need to get a pregnancy test. And Mark went, why?
It's a good question.
And I was like, it'll be fine, let's just check. And he was like, right, okay. And yeah, did it. And I was like, you better come upstairs.
Wow.
And was pregnant
this leads us on to what you're here to talk about.
Yeah.
And your... kind of a side hustle.
Yeah.
It's become a side hustle to you over the last few years. So
you basically work for the charity full time, don't you? I mean,
you especially, yeah.
So the charity is called Cure Usher.
Cure Usher.
Now, explain how this happened. So from the first diagnosis.
I'll try and keep it succinct. We got diagnosed, so Jesse was diagnosed with hearing loss when he was 3 months old, and they ask you if you would like a genetic test to go with it to see if they can find out where it's come from. Sometimes they find it, sometimes they don't. And we just said, yes, obviously, right, that'll come back in 3 months. 3 months came and went, and we were just like, well, it was obviously just an anomaly because we never heard anything.
When you say where it come from, like down
Did it
family
come from
line?
us?
Yeah. And also there's that thing of going, is there something more? But no way did we expect that something more would be, you know what I mean?
Well, nobody ever said when you get hearing loss, it can go hand in hand with anything else. It was just basically going, we might be able to find out where it came from.
Yeah.
So you didn't necessarily know they were checking for any particular condition or anything like that. It was just like, it was a curiosity thing.
I thought if we find anything else out, it'll be within that area.
Yeah, and that's that.
And that's that.
Yeah. And then it came and went, so we just thought it was nothing. And then it was when he was about 1 and a bit, got called into a paediatric appointment, and I thought it was just because we'd moved back to Harrogate, you know, and they're sort of getting you registered with that doctors. And so I went, Mark, I'll just take him, it'll be fine. And I was with Isabel Hodgins, who plays Victoria, on the day. I took her out with Jessie and I was like, I'm going to have to go to the hospital. She's like, what are you going to the hospital for? And I said, they want to see him. I said, I think it's just to see if this come from, I don't know, just to check about this. And sometimes other things can go hand in hand. But I went, but look at him. I went, there's nothing else going on there, is there? And then I went into this appointment and she was just like, oh, something has shown up. It's called Usher Syndrome. Obviously, I couldn't, it was so much information that I couldn't take it in. He's wandering around a little office.
Had you ever heard of it before either? So obviously you had
to the point where
questions.
I went home and I had to tell him, which was devastating, but I told you and I couldn't remember. I was like, I've forgotten already what it's called.
So for anyone that's listening who's got no idea about Usher Syndrome, could you explain what that is?
Usher syndrome is a dual sensory loss. So what happens, or if we use our children as an example, at the moment they have hearing loss and they'll wear hearing aids for the rest of their life. But the thing that came back through genetics has shown that this condition will mean that they will lose their eyesight, and that hasn't got a start date exact, but it comes within the adolescence. So I've met children in the course of, which we'll discuss later, who've already had trouble with an onset of sight loss, who are like 6 and 7. We've discussed and met people who that started at 12. So we don't have an exact, but nevertheless,
they can tell you what tends. They can tell you when it tends to come.
And is there a range of loss? So are some people adults with partial sight loss and partial hearing loss, and are there some people who are adults with full sight and hearing loss unless they've had their hearing aid fitted? Which
even some people who, like Jo, who was the founder of the charity, she didn't get diagnosed with it until she was in her 40s, and she got a cochlear implant then. So she'd lived this whole life with this hearing loss that needed that extra help that she didn't have.
Had she lost her sight by this point as well in her 40s?
Well, so the reduction of it's like comes in stages. There's 3 stages of the sight loss going, and so your night vision can come first. So
night blindness.
Night blindness. So you would essentially. There's a story we told in one of the conversations in Parliament or whatever, where one child of a father was out and about in the evening and looked and said, "Where's all the stars gone, Daddy?" As an example of how that may come across.
Right.
They can't see the bright things, and therefore another person we met actually took a job as a waitress in a nightclub, but they wanted to sack her because they thought she was on the drink all the time.
It's the best. She's got the best sense of humour, hasn't she? In the story that they told, and she was like, "I'm tripping over. I couldn't see where anything was," and just like making light
and losing money because people were like, "She can't see a bloody thing."
Yeah,
taking the tips back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but anyway, night blindness is the first thing that starts to happen, and then your central vision,
your peripheral
vision, it starts to be reduced, if you like.
Tunnel vision, and then central is the last one.
And so those 3 stages will come throughout either an elongated sort of amount of time, or can be quite rushed together. Again, it's such an unknown.
There's no trajectory for it.
Every person will be different.
Well, I don't mean to presume, but I would presume that would be one of the most terrifying things as a parent, to not know what is going to come when and what time frame that you have. Because obviously the whole purpose of Cure Usher and your involvement is to cure Usher. I mean, it's in the name. And one of the scientists that you've been working with, Maria, I'll let you talk about her in a minute. She's done the most amount of research, and she is specifically looking at sight, and she believes, because I've been to the balls and I've heard her speak, she believes that a cure is in sight for Usher. They just need the funds, and that's why you guys have worked so tirelessly and been so successful at raising so much awareness, not only doing the ball, but getting on TV. There's been a lot that's happened in the media since you two have been on board, and that is because it is possible, isn't it, to cure Usher? It's just a case, it's not had the awareness, it's not had the funding, it's not had the support. And if you get that funding, you get that support, then this is something that could be cured in our lifetime.
In a decade.
Is that what she said? So
in a decade.
Maria or Maria?
Maria Musaji.
She said if she can get enough funds, she believes
that's
that
basically
this cures in
short. What's our motto? The science is there, the talent's there, the funding isn't. And because it's a rare condition, it doesn't get the recognition or the support.
If you want to know anything more about Cure Usher, we will put the links below. If you want to donate, if you want to find out more, if you want to find out how you can support, maybe get a table for the ball, that'll all be in
Thank
there.
you, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it's because it's rare. It just hasn't had there's been no awareness. Like you say, when we found out, we hadn't heard of it.
I'd
Everyone
never
that we
heard of it,
told, nobody. There was one person, wasn't there? Paula, a mutual friend of ours. Really? Paula knew an actor that we knew, a guy, whose daughter, that was the one person that had heard of it, because his daughter is 14 and she had been diagnosed with it. But Maria talked to us about what's needed over a period of time and how research goes into testing, which would then go into human testing, and the trials can take 3 years at a time, but you need money for the fake animals. And when she was telling us, the money mounted up.
God, it takes a lot of money, but also that you've still got some Maria's papers, if you like, to prove that she can succeed in this. And also, there's more than Maria working around the world. We're very aware of how many other trials are going on, how much research is being done. But we're investing our money into Maria because we believe she's the closest to achieving that. And also, what I love about Maria, I've sidestepped myself there, but what I believe and love about Maria is quite a lot of people who do the research can gain some sort of monetary reward by handing it to the pharmaceutical companies afterwards, and they'll gain something, and they therefore try and keep their research quite private.
Right.
And Maria's saying, I want it to be a stepping stone. So I want people who gain knowledge from what I achieve to be able to start from there to do the next bit that's required. Do you know what I mean? And,
so she's allowing that to be public, so everyone can learn from it, everyone can build from it.
Give her the money.
It's not here's the thing, go make a medicine, make a fortune.
I'll be all right. You know, I'll get something from the cut of the treatment that's required with these pharmaceutical companies, and then everybody's still working hard to catch up with whatever. She's like, just keep an open book. Just
that's
everyone.
Amazing. Yeah.
So we're like, right, well, she's the one. That will help everybody, and
that's
therefore
what you want to do.
Yeah. So we're investing in I sidestepped myself then.
When's the next ball?
September the 27th, Manchester.
Where's the next ball? Back in Manchester.
Back in Manchester,
So
definitely.
these balls, we were talking about this earlier over breakfast, weren't we? Because we've been to a few of these balls. These balls that you organise, as soon as one finishes, you basically start organising the next one for the next year.
Well, that's the thing. When the ball finishes, it's not over.
Yeah.
No.
When this ball finished, it was so hard work this year. I don't know why. It was just so
this
much
year
harder.
It was in Newcastle.
We took it
back to Newcastle, and the night finished. I mean, God, it's a bit different how you remember us partying and everything. The night finished. Mark was getting changed. He had his top off. There was a sandwich that had been there since 11 o'clock in the morning. He took a bite. I'm sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall with a can of Coke. And Mark went, I'm done. It was so dramatic, wasn't it? He went, I can't do this anymore. And I went, you know what, Mark? Neither can I. And then the next day we just burst out laughing and we were like, right.
We sat at breakfast going, will you do it in Manchester next year? Will you do it in Manchester?
But you've got to keep the momentum going, because people do come up to you the next day and go, when can we get a ticket for the next one? But we didn't stop there, did we? You've still got a few weeks afterwards of giving people their prizes. We sort all the auction prizes out. You've got to make sure everything's going to the right people, and that's still going on now.
Sorry, I was just going to ask if you knew how much you raised from the last. Well, how many have you done now?
Two.
So do you know how much you raised?
Just over 100 grand together. Wow, yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, we did. The first one was like 56,000, and this one was 46.
46,
yeah.
48. I can't remember now. That's terrible,
Wow.
isn't it?
Have you got? Sorry.
No, it's all right. Because I didn't come to this last one because I was working. But you said some of the prizes that people had donated were just incredible, weren't they? People really go for it, and
one of the things that because like everybody who does this professionally was the reason that we said we'd jump on board. So we knew that the likes of our friends would support us by arriving, and that means that the clicks outside help promote what they're there for, and we made sure it's called the Cure Usher Ball. So we made sure the charity's name was in, and
also the sponsors. The sponsors are like who from Emmerdale's coming, aren't they? Who have you got?
And the
that's
first
how you
year we
get
did it
people
in
on board.
Manchester, so that we could have Emmerdale and Coronation Street, and people were so generous. Everybody who supported, who were in the on television came along. But I forgot what I was saying.
God, we were talking about people that donate stuff for you and for the prizes.
But we decided that rather than pay somebody to organise all this, we'd do it ourselves, and that cut out like 20 odd grand's worth of a fee. But we looked at everybody else who does the bowls, and then we're like, very generic prizes, football shirts and stuff like that. And we figured we must donate something that was quite unique. So the first year we had, prizes with.
We had the Divas dinner. Got 15.
Which we still need to organise the next one. How much did we get this year?
2,000.
So
we got
the Divas
15,000
dinner, explain
first
what
year.
it was
We've
that
gone
you...
down 13 grand in a year.
Well, basically, it was what was going to happen was I said, we'll do a dinner for a few girls from Emmerdale, and it can be like a ladies' brunch.
Yeah.
And it was going to be like me and Roxy and Amy were just going to stand up, and we went up, and one by one. Can you remember? You were there when you.
the cast got up.
I said that was my most proud moment of being part of the Emmerdale cast. As every woman got up.
Gaynor got up, didn't she?
Yeah.
One by one. Everyone were all just stood in a line, and it was
a moment.
It was a moment. It was amazing.
So this year, back in Manchester, are you doing anything different this year? Are there things that you are? Because I know that me and you went to a charity ball. We went to Michael's ball. What's Michael's ball called?
The Michael Josephson ball.
That'll be it. The Michael Josephson ball, and he was lovely.
It was so top draw that though.
It was fantastic, wasn't it?
And what was that for? What was the charity?
He basically he splits what he makes on the night between 5 different charities, and he made so much money that every charity got 250,000 in one night.
Amazing is that?
It's incredible. But I remember when we were there, you were talking about being inspired by certain ideas and certain little things. So this year at the ball in Manchester this year, will we see some different things?
Definitely. I think because we've only done it twice, and it's a massive learning
what
curve.
You've managed to achieve.
And like you say, these companies that we went to were charging 15 to 20 grand. They're doing it for a reason, because they do this for a living and they know what they're doing. We're still grafting on the day, aren't we? Till you were in the room at 7 o'clock at night, so everyone should have been in the room. And Mark was in the room sorting slides out for the big screens. Yeah. It was quite stressful.
Yeah, it's very stressful.
To learn, not only are you putting your time into helping organise the ball, but actually run the entire thing. So you've kind of taken on an entire second career.
Well, Lily, you were asking about the prizes, and it is that thing that we're very used to sort of being told, could you promote the show? Could you tell this storyline on television? So you do all that, but we had to go into business people's places of work and look somebody in the eye and say, could you please sponsor us for X amount, and this is what you'll get. And that was really bizarre and quite new. And then you get rejected, or somebody's got an excuse, or quite rightly can't do anything, but then to have to reapply that energy and go back in and then gain prizes. You were asking earlier, we had yachts that were going to take people around the Med for our top prizes and stuff like that. So they're quite big peoples that we sat across that under normal circumstance we wouldn't be having a conversation with the man who owns X amount of super yachts.
But it's weirdly it was that company. The guy who owns this yacht company, at the end of the night, they had a little bit of a debrief because he goes to balls all the time, and him and his business partner said, to say that this is not what you do in your like as a line
business,
of work, it's quite amazing to see that you've pulled off something like so good, only 2 years running, and it's just hard. It's just such hard work.
It's not just about the way that you've managed to create these balls, which is incredible. It's about the wider awareness that you've managed to build throughout the media, and also you guys have become spokespeople for other families that are going through the same thing.
That community,
The community, that's the word I was looking for. You become pillars of this community, and you've done so much in such a short space of time. What day is the ball next?
27th September.
27th of September.
And tickets go on sale. Anyone can buy tickets.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be on sale on the 25th of Jan. I'm currently making up the website.
That's the other thing. He's done the whole website for the ball.
Amazing.
The first year, I just don't know how you did that. I just remember Ronnie was about 6 months old, and he was just like, this is a computer. I think I've done it. I haven't done it. And then just set this whole ticket site up. And
is that something you just learned to do as you've done it?
Well, there's been people. What's brilliant, isn't it, when you venture out and to do something, and your faith in it will get done.
Yeah.
It's the people who believe in your faith who come and step up and give you bits, and every snippet is useful. So somebody told me that they put on big Bollywood shows, and he gave me so many contacts and so much good advice, And he gave me a lead of somebody who sets up ticket sites, and they've been helpful and productive, easing my pressure when I was going, I can't make it work. He's like, have you tried this? Oh yeah, it's working. Do you know what I mean? He's been brilliant. So there's people that have just been giving us snippets, and we've put that into action. And
the graft for the ball is so important though, because that is, people donating is great, but that's such a huge source of income for Maria. So that was given a chunk of 50 grand to her. It just helps her take over for the year.
I was going to ask this question. So Cure Usher, the charity, is that attached to Maria, or did they?
We are now.
They are now, yeah.
Well, so like she works for UCL and Moorfields in London, the eye hospital, and so essentially we've now signed a contract that would give her 300,000
over 3 years.
Over 3 years, and that will increase if we get more. But we've agreed the contract deal, so we're signed with her now. Yeah.
So anyone that comes to the ball and supports the ball is going to be directly supporting Maria and trying to find
her research.
a cause.
Yeah, you're directly funding for treatment.
And as she said, she's obviously said to you, it's the funding that she needs. Is there a figure that she said?
She said, oh, the ball's great, guys. After we'd slaved away last year and went £56,000. And she was like, yeah, the ball's, we went for dinner with her and our family didn't win. She was like, it's great, but I could really do with you just meeting a millionaire who's just going to give me 500 grand in one go. Because when she told us, it mounts up to the millions. Yeah, but it's because it's over
it's different stages. And to prove it for the pharmaceutical companies who then go into research, and this is a slightly boring aspect, but unfortunately the key to the treatment being used is they then have to research themselves, and you have a waiting game. So she could achieve as much as she wants to achieve, but a particular pharmaceutical company to put into effect what she's asked will then run its own research, and you've still got another waiting game, and all of this is financial,
So that's why almost like time is of the essence. The more you can raise in the shortest period of time means you're going to get to that goal quicker.
What's that thing, the slogan that they had in America? Every second counts.
Every second
there was
counts.
An Usher Syndrome campaign that they did, and it was all, in Times Square when it goes on the side of the buildings. Yeah. And it was and it's because in many aspects, like what you've just said, but also the sight loss, you don't know when it's coming. It's like this is,
every second counts.
We've got to, this is not something that we can just sit on and go, we've got time.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to help and support, is the best thing to attend the ball? Can they go on the Usher website? Is there anything that people can do just if someone's at home now, I just want to contribute?
Have a look on the website and see what it's all about.
There's a donation page there on the website, so you could do that. Then
There's
obviously
the
if you've got ideas, whether it's runs, car wash, anything is really.
Well, Roxy's had a good idea, haven't you?
What's your idea?
She's got out.
Can you not remember?
Oh my God, my idea! Yeah, but I need to. Okay, so what I'm thinking.
Go on, I'm excited about this.
No, because you'll be able to do one.
I'm depending on this. So what I want to do is I want to go and speak to the Leeds Playhouse.
Yes.
Because they've got 3 spaces there. They've got the tiny space, the really big space, and then the medium-sized theatre.
Yep.
I think we could fill the medium-sized theatre. I think it should be 1 to 3 nights only.
Yeah.
And I'd like them to donate a lighting technician. We'll get a director on board, and it's going to be a complete.
Are we putting a play on? Is that what we're doing?
We're going to do monologues, so it's going to be a completely star-studded cast. There has to be a theme with the monologues. I actually was listening to something the other day, and there's a series of short 2-handers that have just been put on in America that I think might work. But basically, they're going to be either monologues or duologues.
Nice.
They'll have a theme. It'll be funny. It'll be a great night out. Do you know what I mean? We're not going to be sad-faced. Do you know what I mean? It'll be poignant, but just a really good, fun night out. Everyone there, you're going to know.
Good idea, isn't it?
Will obviously give their time for free, and all of the ticket money we want to go to Cure Usher. Obviously, the theatre is a charity, so they'll probably need something. But that was my idea, because I think it'd get some good attention.
Great idea. Also, I'll just put it out there. I was reading it the other day. No Cowards Private Lives. It's 4-hander. 2 men, 2 women.
Oh my God.
Is it?
Yeah, more or less. There's another couple of characters.
I've just fired everyone in my head, and now it's just us.
Just us doing plays. Earning money for Cure Usher.
Is this the way you go, or Cure Usher? Who knows?
Bit of both.
Right, guys, we've got to wrap this up, because they've got to go and get the kids.
Yeah.
We're already 14 minutes over.
Thank you so much. And just say that quote again. What was it? Every second
counts.
Please go on, click the link that's going to be underneath this. There's a donation part on that page.
Donation page and a link for the
CureUsherSyndrome.com.
By the time this goes out, tickets will be on sale.
Yeah.
What's the website? Cure Usher Ball.
The Cure Usher, the website is www.cureushersyndrome.com.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There you go. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
you.
That was lovely.
Get on with it. I've got to go and walk the dog.
I love that. That was
I love
brilliant,
that. I love
wasn't
them.
it? I love
They're so
them.
wonderful. It's so inspirational. Like, obviously, it's incredibly painful what they're having to go through, but
Yeah.
what they've done since getting that diagnosis is so inspirational, and the fact that the cure is in sight.
The absolutely that and what they said there, that the funding's there, the research is going the right way. It's
They
just
just
that there's
need the
not
funding.
enough money there, and the fact that they've raised hundreds of thousands of pounds over the last 2 years is incredible.
It is.
But they need more funding, and that's why you need to get on that link below. You need to click on it, get onto the Cure Usher website where there will
Get to the ball this year.
this
We'll
year,
be
get to
there.
the ball as well, but click on the donation part
Yeah.
of the website as well, and please donate. I think it's like Laura said at the end, every second counts, so they need to earn as much money or get as much funding as they can right now.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening. We really appreciate it.
See you later.
See you
High
later.
fives.
You